Christmas is a wonderful time of the year, and in America, it's probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest holiday around. It's a time where we can gather with friends and family and just have a great time, eat a lot of good food, and enjoy one another's company. To me, there's two Christmases. There's the commercialized, consumer-filled Christmas with the guy in the red suit and Black Friday right after Thanksgiving. There's that type of Christmas. But then there's also the Christmas about the birth of the Savior of the world. I really want to talk to you about Christmas, and I want to talk to you about some of the things you didn't know you wanted to know about Christmas. Was Jesus born on the 25th of December? No, probably not. Jesus probably was not born on the 25th of December. The idea of the 25th of December, there was lots of things happening in the pagan world. The church ratified it about 1600 years ago. And at that council, there was a guy who became a saint, and his name was Nicholas. And he did a lot of things, and what we think he's most famous for was delivering presents. And he probably had a red suit. But Jesus probably was not born on the 25th of December, more like in March or September. Number two, the idea that there was no room at the inn. So this word inn, mistranslation, it was something that we took as and made it part of our Western culture. So the way that we translate it was inn, and when we think about inn, we think about hotel, Holiday Inn, and all that. But the idea wasn't that it was an inn, it was a guest room. So most houses today have an extra room that we put our guests in. But back then, if guests showed up, they maybe had a room for them, maybe they didn't. But at this particular point in time, everybody had to go to Bethlehem for the census, everybody that was from there. And so Joseph and Mary took off from Nazareth, did the travel, about 90 miles or so, give or take. They got there, could have been late at night, whatever, but by the time they got there, all the other family members were already there. So there wasn't enough room for Joseph and Mary to be there. So we talk about them not being able to have any room, but it may have been more that there wasn't a way for her to have her baby. Like she got there, her contractions were happening, the baby was coming. So all the family was in a room. They were all there for the census. They had gathered because of what the decree was for the census. And there's so many people packed into this tiny room or into the tiny houses that when she was pregnant, there wasn't enough room for her physically to lay down and sprawl out and have this baby without all these people around. That could have been one of the reasons why there was no room. Another reason could have been that because she was having a baby, by Jewish law, there was going to be some blood and there was going to be some yuckiness. And if she had the baby in the house around all those people, it would have defiled the house. So it was probably better, because all those people were visiting for the census, for her to have the baby somewhere else. The other thing that could have been a problem was that Mary was pregnant. Remember, they went to Joseph's hometown, about 400 people, we guess, around this time when Joseph is traveling there with Mary. And remember that Joseph is betrothed, so there's like this legal marriage thing that has happened, but Mary's pregnant. So if you're Joseph's mom and dad, and the daughter-in-law-to-be is pregnant, and your son said, "Not my baby, I didn't have sex with her yet," there's going to be some problems. So that could have happened as well. Pregnant daughter-in-law shows up, "Get out of my house." Could be. And that may be why Mary had Jesus in a manger. So the song "Away in a Manger," number 3, we think of the manger in all the nativity scenes you see, whether it's the little ones or the live ones at the church. Jesus is placed in this hay or straw-filled wooden thing that looks kind of comfortable, except that, it's in a barn and got straw, but that's wrong. The manger was probably a trough. If you Google it, it will show you that the manger was actually a trough, probably hewn out of stone. Okay, so away in a manger, but which one? So how did they know? How did the shepherds know after the angels announced that the baby, the Savior, Jesus, was born in a manger? How did they know? Well, they gave us some clues. They said, look for a baby who's wrapped in swaddling clothes. Now, I've heard some people say that these were rags, but these were not. These were specifically for birthing. But some people have said that those cloths were for the birthing of those special lambs that were being raised in Bethlehem. And that's a longer story than I want to get into today. But the angel said, look for this baby in swaddling clothes. If what I said earlier was right, and that these were special lambs, it could have been that the idea of swaddling clothes for us means wrapping the baby up in a blanket, but for those shepherds, it could have been that they knew that the special lambs were born in a special place, a cave or a special barn, where the prize lambs for the Passover were raised and born. When the angels came to the shepherds and said, you will find him in a manger, it could have been they understood it as the manger, where the Passover lambs were born and protected. Okay, so number 5, the Christmas song, We Three Kings of Orient Are. And I won't try to sing it, but the idea of a nativity scene with the 3 kings or the Magi or the wise men or whoever is wrong. They weren't there at the nativity scene. We believe probably anywhere from 2 to a month, because by the time they got there, Joseph had his family in a house, not in a barn any longer, and we know that Herod said kill every boy below the age or under the age of 2. So we know that Jesus had to have been around that age by the time that the Magi got there. Number 6, star of wonder, star so bright, or whatever the words are. So what about that star? So we know that the Magi or the wise men, the 3 kings, they probably weren't kings, but the 3 wise men, they found Jesus by following a star. So what could that star have been? Well, it could have been the North Star. It could have been, if you look out the window and see the moon and a bright star next to it, which I think at this time of year is Venus, probably not a star but a planet. They could have followed that. However, I kind of like to believe that, God, who can make a whale into a taxi cab, used an angel. All right, and the last one. Hark the herald angels sing. If you look at the accounts of the angels in the Bible, one thing is they were probably terrified. Not the cute little cherub-looking halo wings things. Every time we see an account of an angel in the Bible, people are either falling out, scared, and there's something like, hey, don't be afraid. And in the case where we see the angels appearing to the shepherds, there is the idea that they were afraid, and they say, don't be afraid, and they give the message, and then they take off. However, we sing the song about the angels singing, and we talk about it when we talk about the birth of Jesus, but the angels weren't singing. They simply gave their message. So there you have it. Everything you didn't know, you wanted to know about Christmas.